Any device that sends out a Wi-Fi signal also emits terahertz waves, that is, electromagnetic waves with a frequency somewhere between microwaves and infrared light. These high frequency radiation waves, known as T rays, are also produced by almost anything that registers a temperature, including our own bodies and the inanimate objects around us. Terahertz waves are pervasive in our daily lives, and if harnessed, their concentrated power could potentially serve as an alternate energy source. Imagine, for instance, a cell phone add-on that passively soaks up ambient T rays and uses their energy to charge your phone. However, to date, terahertz waves are wasted energy, as there has been no practical way to capture and convert them into any usable form. Now, physicists at MIT have come up with a blueprint for a device they believe would be able to convert ambient terahertz waves into a direct current, a form of electricity that powers many household electronics. Their design takes advantage of the quantum mechanical or atomic behavior of the carbon material graphene. They found that by combining graphene with another material, in this case boron nitrate, the electrons in graphene should skew their motion toward a common direction. Any incoming terahertz waves should shuttle graphene's electrons, like so many tiny air traffic controllers, to flow through the material in a single direction as a direct current. The researchers have published their results in the journal Science Advances and are working with experimentalists to turn their design into a physical device. Over the last decade, scientists have looked for ways to harvest and convert ambient energy into usable electrical energy. They have done so mainly through rectifiers, devices that are designed to convert electromagnetic waves from their oscillating or alternating current to direct current. Most rectifiers are designed to convert low frequency waves such as radio waves using an electrical circuit with diodes to generate an electric field that can steer radio waves through the device as a DC current. These rectifiers only work up to a certain frequency and have not been able to accommodate the terahertz range. A few experimental technologies that have been able to convert terahertz waves into DC current do so only at ultra cold temperatures, setups that would be difficult to implement in practical applications. Instead of turning electromagnetic waves into a DC current by applying an external electric field in a device, the MIT researchers wondered whether at a quantum mechanical level a material's own electrons could be induced to flow in one direction in order to steer incoming terahertz waves into a DC current. Such a material would have to be very clean or free of impurities in order for the electrons in the material to flow through without scattering of irregularities in the material. The MIT researchers found that graphene was the ideal starting material. To direct graphene's electrons to flow in one direction, they would have to break the material's inherent symmetry, or what physicists call inversion. Normally, graphene's electrons feel an equal force between them, meaning that any incoming energy would scatter the electrons in all directions symmetrically. The researchers looked for ways to break graphene's inversion and induce an asymmetric flow of electrons in response to incoming energy. Looking through the literature, they found that others had experimented with graphene by placing it atop a layer of boron nitrate, a similar honeycomb lattice made of two types of atoms, boron and nitrogen. They found that in this arrangement, the forces between graphene's electrons were knocked out of balance. Electrons closer to boron felt a certain force, while electrons closer to nitrogen experienced a different pull. The overall effect was what physicists call skew scattering, in which clouds of electrons skew their motion in one direction. The researchers developed a systematic theoretical study of all the ways electrons in graphene might scatter in combination with an underlying substrate such as boron nitrate, and how this electron scattering would affect any incoming electromagnetic waves, particularly in the terahertz frequency range. They found that electrons were driven by incoming terahertz waves to skew in one direction, and this skew motion generates a DC current if graphene were relatively pure. If too many impurities did exist in graphene, they would act as obstacles in the path of electron clouds, causing these clouds to scatter in all directions rather than moving as one. They also found that the stronger the incoming terahertz energy, the more of that energy a device can convert to DC current. This means that any device that converts T rays should also include a way to concentrate those waves before they enter the device. With all this in mind, the researchers drew up a blueprint for a terahertz rectifier that consists of a small core of graphene that sits atop a layer of boron nitride and is sandwiched within an antenna that would collect and concentrate ambient terahertz radiation, boosting its signal enough to convert it into a DC current. This would work very much like a solar cell, except for a different frequency range to passively collect and convert ambient energy. The team has filed a patent for the new high frequency rectification design, and the researchers are working with experimental physics at MIT to develop a physical device based on their design, which should be able to work at room temperature versus the ultra cold temperatures required for previous terahertz rectifiers and detectors. In the near future, terahertz rectifiers may be used to wirelessly power implants in a patient's body without requiring surgery to change an implant's batteries. Such devices could also convert ambient Wi-Fi signals to charge personal electronics such as laptops and cell phones.